The city air was crisp, the kind of cold that seemed to seep into your bones and linger there, biting at Omar's cheeks as he hurried home. His breath formed small clouds in the air, each exhale a reminder of the biting chill. Streetlights cast an orange glow on the wet pavement, creating a mosaic of reflections that danced with every passing car. Omar, a 19-year-old student, clutched his worn jacket tighter. The fabric was thin and frayed, offering little protection against the cold. He was late, and his stomach rumbled with hunger. The thought of a warm meal waiting at home spurred him on. But he knew it was just a dream. His family could barely afford groceries, let alone a feast. As he rushed around a corner, something caught his eye, a glint of light reflecting off the wet ground. A sleek, leather wallet lay abandoned on the sidewalk. It looked out of place, almost too pristine for the gritty city street. Omar hesitated, then bent down to pick it up. His fingers were numb from the cold, and the leather felt smooth and foreign in his hands. It was heavier than he expected, filled with cash and credit cards. The weight of it was almost surreal, like holding a small fortune. Omar's heart pounded in his chest. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, a mix of excitement and fear. He'd never held so much money in his life. The bills were crisp, the kind you only see in movies or in the hands of the wealthy. He thought of his family, struggling to make ends meet, and the tuition he desperately needed. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, making the wallet feel even heavier. For a moment, the city noises faded away. The honking cars, the distant chatter all seemed to blur into the background as he stood there, lost in thought. Omar stared at the wallet, his mind a whirlwind of possibilities. Should he keep it, return it? The moral dilemma gnawed at him, each option carrying its own set of consequences. He glanced around nervously, half expecting someone to jump out and claim the wallet. But the street was empty, just him and the cold night. Taking a deep breath, Omar made a decision. He slipped the wallet into his pocket, feeling its weight against his side. He would take it home, think it over, and decide what to do in the morning. As he walked away, the city lights flickered, casting long shadows on the pavement. The night was still cold, but the wallet in his pocket seemed to offer a strange, fleeting warmth. Omar's steps quickened, a newfound determination in his stride. Whatever happened next, he knew this night would change everything. The wallet felt heavy in Omar's hands, not just from its contents, but from the weight of the decision before him. It was a simple leather wallet, worn at the edges, yet it carried a significance that went beyond its physical form. Omar's mind raced with possibilities, each one more tempting than the last. He could keep it, he thought. The money inside could solve so many of his problems. He imagined the things he could do, the burdens he could lift. No one would ever know. The street was deserted when he found it, and there were no witnesses. It would be so easy to slip the wallet into his pocket and walk away. He imagined the relief on his parents' faces when he handed them the money. They had been struggling to make ends meet, and this unexpected windfall could provide a much-needed respite. He could finally buy the new textbooks he needed. His grades had been slipping because he couldn't afford the latest editions, and this money could change that. He wouldn't have to work nights at the diner, sacrificing precious study time. The long hours had been taking a toll on him, both physically and mentally. But a nagging feeling tugged at his conscience. The thought of taking something that wasn't his gnawed at him, creating a sense of unease that he couldn't shake. He thought of the wallet's owner, frantic and worried about their lost possession. He could almost feel their anxiety, their desperation to find what they had lost. Omar knew what it felt like to lose something precious. He had experienced that sinking feeling, the helplessness that comes with loss. The memory of his lost bicycle, a gift from his grandfather, still brought a lump to his throat. It was more than just a bike. It was a symbol of his grandfather's love and the adventures they had shared. Omar took a deep breath and made a decision. He pulled out his phone and dialed the number he found inside the wallet. The right thing to do was clear, even if it wasn't the easiest choice. The voice on the other end of the line was filled with relief and gratitude. Omar felt a weight lift off his shoulders, replaced by a sense of peace and satisfaction. As he walked away, he realized that sometimes doing the right thing was its own reward. The weight of temptation had been heavy, but the lightness of his conscience made it all worthwhile. That night, Omar barely slept. Images of the wallet, the money, and the owner's possible despair swirled in his mind. He tossed and turned, his stomach in knots. He knew what he had to do. The next morning, Omar woke up with a newfound determination. He would return the wallet. He carefully placed it in his bag and headed out, his steps lighter, his heart a little calmer. He would find a way to manage, he told himself. Some things were more important than money. The name on the driver's license was Ahmed Karim. Omar found an address and nervously made his way to a modest apartment building. He climbed the stairs, each step echoing his growing anxiety. He knocked on the door and a kind-faced elderly gentleman answered. It was Mr. Karim. Omar's nervousness melted away as he explained about the wallet. Mr. Karim's initial shock gave way to immense relief. He clutched Omar's hand, his eyes welling up. This wallet, he explained, held more than just money. It contained irreplaceable pictures of his late wife. Mr. Karim insisted on inviting Omar in for tea. As they sat in his cozy living room, Omar learned that Mr. Karim was a retired professor. He had been distraught over losing the wallet, fearing he had lost his precious memories forever. Deeply touched by Omar's honesty, Mr. Karim asked about his aspirations. Omar shared his dream of becoming a doctor, a dream hampered by their financial constraints. Mr. Karim smiled warmly. He knew just the person who could help. He would introduce Omar to his son, a successful businessman who often supported young talent. A future forged. True to his word, Mr. Karim arranged a meeting between Omar and his son, Mr. Hassan Karim. Hassan, impressed by Omar's integrity and ambition, offered him a part-time job at his company. The flexible hours would allow Omar to continue his studies while earning a good income. Omar was overwhelmed with gratitude. He accepted the offer, his heart filled with hope. He knew this opportunity wouldn't have come his way had he made a different choice that night. The ripple effect. The news of Omar's honesty spread. His professors praised him, his peers admired him, and his family, initially surprised, were filled with pride. Omar's act of kindness had created ripples touching the lives of those around him. He started working for Mr. Hassan Karim, proving to be a diligent and trustworthy employee. He excelled in his studies, no longer burdened by financial worries. Beyond the material. While the financial burden had eased, the true impact of Omar's decision ran deeper. He had discovered a sense of self-worth that no amount of money could buy. He learned that true wealth lay not in possessions, but in the integrity of one's character. The true reward. Years later, Dr. Omar stood on a stage receiving his medical degree. It was a moment he had dreamed of for years, a culmination of countless hours of study, dedication, and perseverance. The journey had not been easy, filled with late nights, early mornings, and moments of doubt, but standing there in his cap and gown, he felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. The auditorium was filled with proud faces, his family, friends, and mentors who had supported him along the way. Each clap, each cheer was a testament to the hard work and sacrifices he had made. The energy in the room was palpable, a shared joy that connected everyone present. Mr. Karim and his son, Hassan, beaming with pride. They had been there from the beginning, witnessing Omar's transformation from a young boy with dreams to a man who had achieved them. Their smiles were not just of pride, but of deep heartfelt joy, knowing the obstacles Omar had overcome. As Omar looked out at the audience, he knew that his journey, his success, was a testament to a single act of honesty on a cold night in the city. That night, when he found a lost wallet and chose to return it, had set off a chain of events that led him here. It was a reminder that sometimes the smallest actions can have the most profound impacts. He had chosen the right path, and in doing so had found his own unique destiny. Every decision, every step he took had brought him closer to this moment. It was not just about becoming a doctor, but about the person he had become in the process. The values he held, the integrity he maintained, and the compassion he showed were all part of his true reward. The lost wallet had led him to something far more valuable than money. It had led him to himself. It was a symbol of the choices he made and the person he chose to be. In that moment, on the stage, he realized that the true reward was not the degree in his hand, but the journey that had shaped him into the man he had become.